GT Racing, Scuderia Ferrari Edition, the heart of the race.
A good afternoon and a warm welcome everybody to round one of the Formula SimRacing Academy Championship, the Australian Grand Prix from the Albert Park Street Circuit. My name is Felix from Delft. I will be your lead commentator here, and I will be joined today by Cameron Rodger, who will be joining me a bit later on. But welcome here to the first round. It's going to be a very exciting round. New cars, new drivers, and a new championship, the Academy Championship, all new, which I will explain later on what the differences are between the old championship and the new championship. Anyway, it's time to have a look at what kind of track we've got here today. The Albert Park Street Circuit is obviously a street circuit, but it's not really a street circuit on the other side as well, because you have a lot of runoff areas, you have a lot of gravel areas. It's basically in a park, as you can see on your screen. However, the Academy race is going to be 60% of the Grand Prix race length, which will be 35 laps long, and one lap length is 5.3 kilometers. As you can see on your screen, the three zones that are green are the DRS zones. So we have 3 DRS zones, obviously also 3 sectors on this track. So perhaps there will be some overtaking here. It depends, of course, on how good the drivers are and how able they are to overtake with the cars. Talking about the cars, let's have a look at what the cars of 2019 have to offer us here at Formula SimRacing. So we are looking at the 2019 car here. Engine power 933 brake horsepower, top speed of up to 370 kilometers per hour. Weight is around 740 kilograms. The drivers will have 2 available fuel mixtures, lean and rich, so they can switch between those fuel mixtures during the race and during qualifying if they wish to try and get the best out of their race by saving fuel at certain times and using their fuel to perhaps overtake at other times. They also have 2 boost modes, which is race and qualifying boost. Pretty much they will only use the qualifying boost in qualifying and the race boost in the race, because if you use your qualifying boost in the race too much, you will probably not finish the race and you will blow your engine. So that's something you will definitely not want to do. Anyway, let's have a look at the qualifying session. The drivers have already started their qualifying session. We're 8 minutes into the session, and let's have a look how the drivers are doing. If we can get the overlay working, we will have a look. Anyway, you can see already a lot of drivers on track. And there we go, overlay working now. loading it up. Still something not correct, but we'll try to fix that as soon as possible. Qualifying then. At the moment, as your screen is not saying, Jan Woznica is in P1. He is leading this qualifying session so far. P2 will be Thomas Wack with a 1 minute 20.4.
So hello everyone, I am here, back in the booth, Cabin Rodger, as Felix just introduced.
Yeah,
and
welcome.
yes, I am race directing this this race, so I just had to sort a couple of things out. But we are here now, as Felix said. We are here for the first qualifying session of the season. There's a wide range of new talent here, who we will be looking out for as the race progresses.
Yeah, just making sure everything is fixed here for the overlay. This should do the trick. Let's have a look.
Yeah, so the drivers today, they have 12 laps for qualifying in a 20-minute session, which we have 10 minutes left. And in those 12 laps, it includes your in and out laps. So you basically have 4 attempts of your choosing. You can do them whenever you want within the 20 minutes. There's generally enough time to do 5 or 6 laps, but obviously you only have 4, so there's plenty of opportunity to have a couple of minutes in the garage and think about what you're doing. Obviously, there is parc ferme, so once drivers have completed a lap, then their setup is locked in for the race and for their later qualifying attempts as well. And on their qualifying laps, they will be using their Boost 2 mode that we have, which will give them about 40 to 50 extra horsepower to make the car a little bit more lively. However, this has a lot of engine wear, so they will not really be able to use it during the race. And it seems Jan Woznica has just taken the provisional pole position on a 1:20.2. Very fast lap time indeed. However, he is very close to Vladislav Pavlov, who has just done a purple first sector in his Royal Blue racing car. He's a debutant today. However, he did the IndyCar series that we did at the back end of 2018. Definitely showing some promise there. And he's gone, as I said, purple in the first sector. He's done pretty much identical middle sectors, so this is looking like it could well be an improvement for Vladislav Pavlov. Oh, but he goes off wide coming into the last sector, so that will not count, fortunately for him. Yuri Siravatsky as well just got up into P4. And Balas Galar for Netrex has come around the final corner, currently done a 21.1. Does not improve. That'll keep him 10th place. And it seems the field is pretty close together, apart from Jan and Vladislav at the top. So it's looking good for them so far. And a bit further down with Edward Bartella racing for NRWO, team run by Ron Squire, returning to the league after some absence, and he is down in P17, could not improve on that lap, fortunately for him. And another debutant is Tommy Yetalo in P16. He's just improved to go to P10 on a 1:21.0. coming into the final corner, we have Jake Bond. I think I've already seen this a lot, but he's also a debutant. There's quite a few new drivers and teams, which is always good to see for a new season. We actually have, at this time of saying, we have just over 70 drivers signed up for the Academy Championship. However, only 50 signed up for the race today. And we have a pre-qualifying session, and the fastest 30 get to the grid, who you are seeing now. And there's also a Grid 2 race that is going on as well. As we speak, running the same scenario, same lap count, everything. So we already have a couple of drivers who have completed their total lap count, so they will not be able to do any more. If you do go over your lap count, the game will disqualify you, and you will be put to the back of the grid. And once you have reached your lap count, you can't press race to go to drive out, so you are locked into the lap times that you have. Currently sitting in P4, we have Callum Roberts in Royal Blue as well, so obviously having a good day with Vladislav in P2. He's coming around the final corner, currently in P4. However, he's on a personal best lap time so far. Can he improve in the final sector? Yes, he can. A 20.4 for him. And that is his lap count done, so he will not be able to improve any further. That is still a good lap time so far. Just 2/10 off pole position. And we also have Thomas Fack entering his own team, Thomas Fack Racing. However, he's just abandoned his lap. Most drivers will be building up towards their final lap right now. 3 minutes to go. 3.5 minutes to go. Obviously, you can finish your lap if you have already started it when the timer reaches 0. So far, some drivers just waiting to go out for their final attempt. There's a real road progression where the track gets more grippy to do with the amount of cars that are going over the specific points of the track. And as the session moves on, you'll see that there's a darker racing line being formed. Obviously, drivers want to try and be the last person out, if possible, because it will gain you that tiny bit extra time. It's not too much on a lap by lap basis, but obviously over a 5 or 10 minute period with 30 cars, it can reward you a little bit of time, but that's just all part of the tactics when you choose to do your laps. currently one of the names you might recognise, Matt Tewson. He's down in 23rd position. He was one of the highest finishers last year, who is remaining in the 3rd tier. Last year it was called Pro, but this year it is called Academy. And yeah, pretty much everyone above him was bumped up to the what is now the Pro Championship, the 2nd tier. So it's a bit unfortunate for him that he's down in the 23rd position. Come around the final corner. He is he's got some personal best sectors, so he might have a small improvement here. And yes, he goes up to P21. We also have the leaders coming on to start their final laps. Vladislav Pavlov is already coming down to turn 3. Woznica is coming around to start his lap as well. So is Kas Reitveld. Again on board with Vladislav to see how the car is handling. Car does look pretty good, as it would do when you're running minimum fuel and the grippiest tyres available today. As you see with the tyres, we have the soft, medium and hard, red, yellow and white. And these on the back end will be changing throughout the tracks, but you only need to remember soft, medium, hard and Vladislav Pavlov unfortunately wins, and that is his chance for pole gone. Jan Woznica, who's currently in pole position, on a lap himself, and he has just done a personal best first sector as well. Kas Reitveld just up the road, coming and finishing sector 2. He's on a personal best as well, so Kas Reitveld could be challenging, at least for the front row, if not pole position with a good final sector. And we will watch him first as he comes around the last couple of corners. Very fast right-hander there into the penultimate corner. Have to get it all slowed down. Over to the left to try and get the final corner flat out, or near enough flat out as you can, opening up DRS, and Kas Reitveld is coming to the line. Jan Woznica abandoned his lap, but Kas Reitveld gets pole position at the end there. Very good final sector for him. 2 tenths quicker than anyone else in that final sector, apart from Michael Wilson down in P9, who went slightly quicker on his last lap as well. So that is qualifying almost over. We have Jake Bond, the last car across the line. He's opening up his DRS. And where will he put himself? P25. So that is your order for the race today. We have Kas Reitveld on pole, followed by Jan Woznica and Vladislav Pavlov. There's a couple other names you may recognise from last year. Tom Lombart's in P8, Michael Wilson P9, and George Chatzipantelis down in P12. Good to see some new names up here as well, some new teams. And we will now take a short break, and when we come back, drivers will be finishing their warm-up session, and we will get you ready for the race. And I'm feeling good. I'm ready for a new season of racing, and it looks like it's going to be a very good race today. We've got some fast guys in here, got some new guys in here, some new teams, and we will find out how it's going to be in a couple of minutes' time. Yes, very much so. And yeah, 35 laps today, and we'll see what they can do. Should be possibly a 2-stop, 1-stop maybe. So we'll see what they choose to do today.
Attention grid, will all non-essential personnel leave the grid now?
Yes, so we are here for the formation lap with your pole sitter, Kars Rietveld, in the SimRacing car, and then we have Jan Woznica driving for Flag to Flag, but not using that livery, and then we have 2 Royal Blue cars in Vladislav Pavlov and Callum Roberts, very good on their and the team's debut in P3 and 4. Then we have Yuri Sirvatsky driving for TCS Edge Esports, again another new entry, collabing with Edge. Then we have Thomas Fuck in P6 Indrek Remits, you may recognise him from last year as well, P7. Tom Lombards and Michael Wilson. We have David Yankaluza, hopefully I got that right, and then Adrian Kott and George Chatsipantelis, Vlad Tokarev, Ahmet Robles, Tommy Yetello, Balaz Gala, Edward Patella, Bjorn Forschner, Jakub Karkazevsky,
I think.
Yep. Maximilian Younger, Ernest Lappins, Matt Tucson, Jared Patella, Naranyan Kumar, Jake Bond, Anton Shoshenko, Claudio Cunha, Angel Baneas, Malcolm Smith and Jackson Wentz starting from the pit lane. So yes, quite a long grid of 30 cars, but Kars Rietveld is starting from pole, starting to slow the cars down now. And as you see, he is on the the soft compound, which is red for this year, and all drivers in the top 10 should, because that is what they qualified on. And after that, you may start on free choice of tyres. Now, regarding pit stops, as I said a bit before, it's going to be somewhere between a 1 and 2 stop for a 35 lap race. And we can talk more about strategy when we see the first pit stops, because that will give us an indication of what is happening. Final drivers are coming around the last corner. Malcolm Smith will be taking up the final position on the grid. And Batella is also starting from the pits.
Indeed. So now it's the wait for everybody to line up correctly and then start the race. So, waiting for the lights to come on. Here we go. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 lights. And we are racing here in Australia for round 1 of the SimRacing Academy Championship. It's a good start for Cas Rietveld. Jan Woznica keeps behind for P2. Behind that in P3. It seems like a good start for most of the drivers. A bit of smoking engines, but everybody seems to get relatively clean through turn 1, which is really nice to see. Now, turn 3 is also always a little bit of a struggle point for the drivers. Seems that there's a small accident in the background, but George Patsipantelis is slotting in nicely behind the drivers in P12.
Yeah, it's a pretty good start from all of them. There's a couple of little spins in the background, but nothing too major. Unfortunately, Edward Batella has lost his front wing, and as well as another car in there at the back. But yeah, it's all pretty clean. Quite a big lead for Cas Rietveld, actually. He's really gone off there at the beginning, and Jan Woznica actually dropped down to P6, so not the best start for him. But overall, yeah, pretty good first lap or first couple of sectors for these drivers. No huge crashes, and I'm sure as the race progresses, the drivers will become cleaner as they wipe the rust off themselves from the off-season. In the back, we have Ernest Lappins actually trying to go around the outside into turn 13, but couldn't quite make it. But yes, as we end lap 1, it's Cas Rietveld leading by some 2 seconds from Vladislav Pavlov. He's really pushing on this opening lap, and a good start from the Royal Blue Cars, who are on the podium positions as we speak.
Ernest Lappins actually was able to get past Ahmed Robles in P14 there. Really nice overtake by the Invictus Motorsport driver. Indeed, Cas Rietveld already doing a great job, leading by over 2 seconds already. So the iSimRS Racing driver seems to be on a good start of this race. Still 34 laps remaining in this race, so nothing is decided after lap 2, of course.
And obviously by pushing at the beginning, he will be using up more of his tyres, probably more of his fuel as well. And as has been discussed quite a lot on the forums and such, the fuel is quite tight on this track. Because of how the numbers work out and how the lap count works out for this track. So drivers will not be able to push quite as hard in terms of fuel. It means they'll have to use their tyres a little bit more, which could be pushing towards a 2-stop. I think the driver's pitting towards lap 10 on the soft compound tyres, then we will be looking at 2-stop. If they can push it near lap 15, they might be able to eke out a set of mediums to the end. But we will have to see as that comes round.
Malcolm Smith battling with Jackson Wendt for P26 of the race, and it seems like he lost a position there. Might be able to, or might lose a position to the car behind him as well. Now Tom Lambert's P5, the flag to flag SimRacing. Pretty big train behind Vladislav Pavlov. Basically from him up to P9, P10 is all really close to each other. Maybe even down to P15. It's all still within 10 seconds after 3 laps. So good driving from these drivers. Good and clean driving as well. It has to be said, it's the entry tier of the SimRacing Championship. A lot of newcomers and a very, very clean start of this race.
Yeah, it's been pretty good considering, as you say, it's the entry level. So if you would like to sign up, then you can check out the forums and the season information section. And as I said in qualifying, there is actually a grid 2 as well. So you are not seeing that, but there is another, I think it's 25 drivers in that race who signed up as well, but were not in the top 30. So that is how it's run. There's a pre-qualifying session. Top 30 get to the main grid and can score points and points go down to 15th place in the Academy Championship. Currently, Vlad Tokarev has that 1 point, and they work their way up to 25 for a win.
Yeah.
Actually have quite a good battle here. Oh, Tom Lombard goes wide. Tom Lombard goes wide, and Jan, his teammate, gets past him. And Tom gets spun by Indrek Rumis. Didn't seem to leave enough room on the apex. And that is wow, that is a really bad redrawing by Indrek. He's lost both his wings. He will not be going much further in this race, unfortunately for him. And there's unfortunately some other cars who have not pressed escape yet, and it is causing some accidents. So I'm sure the stewards will be reviewing that as a whole. But yeah, unfortunately that looked like Indrek Remits did not leave enough room for Tom Lombards on the inside. Quite a common issue with that corner because it is quite tight actually on the apex. And we have Kumar as well. He's got some damage. Wilson involved, and Jan Kaluza as well. Fortunately for them, not the way they wanted to start the season. But that has opened up some opportunities for some other drivers to potentially score points later on in this race. And Kas Reitveld has still got a 2-second lead. So Pavlov is not letting him get away. Or is the train of Callum Roberts, Yuri Savatsky and Woznica either behind them?
Yeah, Ernest Lapins is still battling with Tommy Talo for P10 of the race here, going side by side into turn 1. Great bit of battling here between the two drivers. Right behind that also a battle forming. Let's see though who is going to get out on top of this battle. Very close into turn 3, almost touching the rear tires there of Eric Lapins, sorry I should say.
Yes, this is a pretty good debut for Ernest Lapins. I hadn't actually heard of him much before the start of the year. But he is doing well in Invictus Motorsport, up in P number 9. Certainly showing he likes a bit of racing. He's probably done the most so far this race. And we have Yuri Savatsky being overtaken by Jan Woznica. Oh, that's very tight on the apex. Jan Woznica had DRS coming down to turn 13, but couldn't quite make it. And he remains in P5 for now. And as you see on the barge boards and turning vanes of the car, there is the position LED. So you further know what position a driver is in. Yuri Savatsky, I think, is possibly slowing down a little bit because they are being dropped by the two Royal Blue cars in P2 and 3. Jan Woznica again, looking, but can't quite make it. This track is definitely notorious for being difficult to overtake. However, it is definitely possible, as we have seen so far.
Ooh, mistake from Woznica there. Under braking into turn 6, hit the outside grass, went straight, luckily kept it out of the wall, but lost valuable time to the driver in front of him. Now Kas Reitveld is still leading, but the margin is not as big as it was before. Only 1.4, 1.5 seconds between him and Vladislav Pavlov.
Yeah, these two Royal Blue cars definitely pushing on. Trying to reduce that gap. Maybe Kas Reitveld pushed a little bit too much at the beginning. We've already completed 6 laps in this race. And by this point, the consistent pace will start to drop if you abused your tyres in the beginning. Gap now down to 1.3 seconds. They're looking a bit further down the grid. Unfortunately, we've had 6 retirements already due to that crash. Make that 7 as Robles unfortunately has crashed on the exit of the fast chicane. Turn 11 and 12. While there's still many drivers still going who had a bit of damage to 2 patellas, who both lost their front wing. Also down into 20th position. So
Go ahead.
Sorry. Okay, I was going to say, so to explain the Academy Championship a bit further, obviously being the entry level, this is where most new drivers will start, and if they show that they are obviously far too fast, they can be pushed up to the Pro Championship that you will see later on today, and the goal is obviously to have a ladder for drivers to move up. Most drivers will be looked at the end of the year. However, if drivers do excel in Academy, then the administration will think about moving them up earlier. The idea is to make a path that drivers can look forward to, rather than just say, oh yes, I want to go to this, and either be too good or too bad. The idea is to try and make some even championships that we will we'll also see later on with the Pro and World Championship, that the level of driving should be step up each time. Obviously, if drivers if drivers want to prove the administration wrong, then obviously they want to do that on the racetrack.
So on track, Callum Roberts is now starting to close into his teammate Vladimir Pavlov. Perhaps they are trying to battle each other, but if I were them, I wouldn't do that. Keep working together to keep close to Cas Rietveld and try to out-strategize him. He's on his own. You have 2 cars that can work together behind him, so you should be in favor.
And it seems like Gap has spread out a little bit as well, so they're obviously trying to trade times a little bit. And looking at the lap times, Cas is actually being very consistent out at the front. So he is obviously driving to a pace. Because you can't push the tyres 100%. You have to have that little factor of safety involved. Otherwise, will destroy them, because they're a little bit load sensitive, effectively. Oh, and is Callum Roberts actually going to have a look at his teammates down to turn 3? Or no, I think he's just going to stay behind. Yes, if it's in corners like this, turn 4. If you really push to try and get some lap time, you won't get too much extra lap time, but you will get a lot more tyre wear. So you just have to have that factor of safety in your head when controlling where you want to do the tyre, where you want to use the tyres.
Yeah. So we're now almost 10 laps into this race. When do you think is gonna be the first window for pit stops here, Cameron?
Yeah, I think in the next couple of laps, if they're doing a 2-stop race. However, if it is close on doing a 1-stop as well, so I think a lot of drivers will try and do a 1-stop if they can, but we will have to see. So obviously, if they've got 10 laps out of the softs now, and they want to do another soft stint, then they still have 15 to go. So Oh, Callum keeps on having a look, but I think he actually closed his DRS early. He obviously just wants to be pulled. And actually, yeah, first pit stop, Jan Woznicka, lap number 10. Going into lap 11. And we have a car behind as well, Tom Lombards. And Jan has gone onto the hard tyres. The first time the first pit stop of the year by Jan Woznicka. And he has come out into P13. Got a little bit of clean air, a couple of drivers up the road, but not too far ahead. These drivers might be looking to go to the end, but they also might be looking to do a pit stop at the end if their tyre wear wasn't so good.
Yeah, exactly. So it seems like right now Callum Roberts isn't really closing into Cas Rietveld by much. So I don't know. Cas still looking good for this race. Further down, Ernest Lapins is still making his way up. P8 right now, starting to put pressure on George Chatzipantelis. Getting pretty close there.
Yes, this will be quite an important season for Chatzipantelis, I think, because he's obviously raced in Ace, the second tier, the last couple of seasons. However, he's been put down into Academy to try and prove his worth again, because he hasn't had the best couple of years recently. Had a lot of DNFs, a lot of penalties, unfortunately. Hopefully this year he can show his true talent. Ernest Lapins here is looking very feisty, having caught up to the back of Chatzipantelis over the last few laps. Chatzipantelis also moving to Netrex from Ghost Speed. He was at Ghost Speed for quite a number of years, but obviously decided he needs a new change, as well as a new division. So regarding teams in the Academy Championship, each team can sign up to 8 drivers. And out of those drivers, the top 2 in each race will get points to the Constructors' Championship. So if you finish 1, 2, 3, 4, you will only get points for... Oh, Ernest Lapin spins in the background. Luckily he hasn't lost his front wing, but he might have a tiny bit of damage on the suspension. Luckily, there's no one really there to be collected. And we have the leader in. Cas Rietveld is in for a set of the hard tyres as well. And Pavlov followed him. So that is quite important because Callum Roberts has stayed out. Obviously trying to have younger tyres at the end. And Pavlov comes out in 8th place, got a couple of cars behind him. But Cas Rietveld actually managed to get out ahead of Yatello. So he has a little bit of clean air, so this is not going to help Pavlov at all if he is going to be battling some cars. Although on those newer tyres, he should be able to get out ahead. But the question is now, when will Callum pit? Because if he goes further, he might be able to take a set of the medium tyres rather than the hards, and he will not only have a softer tyre, but he will have less fuel when he pits, and he will be able to go a lot quicker. And Callum Roberts actually pits 1 lap later, so that answers the question, along with Thomas Fuck. But now we'll see how big the undercut is. And Cas Rietveld gets past George Chatzipantelis actually, as we come down the main straight to turn 1. So that is very good from him. It seems Callum Roberts has been. Let's see. Oh no, he's fighting with his teammate as they come out of the pit lane. Neither of them have DRS. But Callum Roberts is now on the inside as we come down into turn number 4. And almost. Oh, there was a little bit of contact with teammates. There might be a little bit of lag. And now Callum Roberts going around the outside of turn 5. That is a really, really nice move there from Callum Roberts to get past his teammate. And there wasn't really an undercut or an overcut because they were very close, but Callum obviously had a slightly, ever so slightly quicker in-lap and managed to make that work, and he is now up to effectively P2 once the people around him pit. He's now pulling a little bit of a gap as well, but he is some 7 seconds behind Cass Reitfeld, so that is quite important. Cass actually gets past Adrian Kott now. Cass is looking very feisty today. Obviously wants to start the season with a win and is very motivated today. He had a not even an average season last year. Unfortunately, it wasn't the best season for Cass Reitfeld. Had a couple of penalties, couple of small issues.
And over the pit, by the way.
And over the winter break, I had to decide what team he was going with, and decided to stay with ACR, although branded as ISIMRS here. And it is now being quite effective.
So Jan Woznica is getting close to Vlad Tokarev. Will he be able to get past?
Yeah, so Jan, his I mean, I didn't actually see his start, how he lost the positions, but his obviously racing isn't quite as good as his qualifying performance so far, so it'll be good to see if he can make some sort of move on Vlad Tokarev. And he actually hits the anti-cut there as he comes out of turn 12. Makes this DRS ineffective for him. Jiri Sierwacki takes to the pit lane, which means Cass Reitfeld takes back the lead of the race. So Adrian Kott follows him in as well. So Cass Reitfeld is your leader both on strategy and on track now. He's got still about a 7-second lead to Callum Roberts, who's now being followed in a similar way by his teammate. George Chachipanslis still out there on the hard tyres. Now Tommy Yatello has caught up, also hasn't stopped. He's got very close. Maybe a pit stop will be soon for Chachipanslis if his lap times are dropping. Looking a bit further down the field, we have the Invictus trio in P14, 15, 16 with Lappins, Kuna and Tucson. Fortunately not being quite as good as they probably would have expected. This is now their fourth season, sorry, in Formula Sim Racing. I'm sure Matt Tucson, the team owner, will be hoping to improve slightly as the races go on. We have 14 races this year, going to all of the best tracks on the F1 calendar.
Ooh, here we go. Litalo on Chachipanslis. Easy move there. In the DRS, down to turn 3. Up to P2 for Tommy Yatello.
Very good for him because he's got his teammates behind Chachipanslis now. Obviously, he doesn't want to ruin his teammates' race in any way by holding them up. But they are now coming for Chachipanslis, Roberts, and Pavlov. Again, very good debut for the Royal Blue Racing team. Been doing a lot of practice over the last few weeks. It's certainly paying off for them now, as Roberts is in the DRS zone. Maximilian Younger is out with an accident, and Kunar as well is DNF'd. Fortunately for them, seems Kunar just left the race, and Younger had a lag incident, unfortunately for him. So that is why he is out of the race. We have 20 drivers left in the race. Points go to 15. As I said, Malcolm Smith currently, for Team Rookie Monsters, is sitting on that P15. And Jackson went not too far behind, and Jackson started from the pit lane due to a penalty. Not too bad for him. See if he can get a few points this afternoon.
So Gus Rietveld is basically just cruising away right now. 7 seconds almost in the lead of the race. Just over half race length right now.
You know, it'll be at this point on the race that they're starting to think about what they are going to do. Will they be pushing, try and make an extra pit stop, or will they be staying out? I highly suspect that they will try and stay out, because otherwise you have to make up about 20 seconds or so to make a pit stop again. Obviously, it's not this thing to do, because you will be pitting with about sort of 10 to 15 laps to go, so you have to be over a second lap faster. You have to commit to the strategy very early on, but drivers will still be thinking about what they're going to do, because they don't want to be too slow at the end. Chatsy Pantelis seems to actually be making this work, because he still has the 2 Royal Blues behind him, despite Yatello already getting past. Behind them, Jan Woznica is actually catching up, and Jan is in a net P4 after dropping down the order a little bit earlier on. Jan obviously stopped first as well, so if he is to catch them, he will have worse tyres as well. Chatsy Pantelis isn't defending, but Callum Roberts is looking up the inside, and George actually leaves in the room. Unfortunately, he almost spins into Pavlov. There's a bit of contact there. Yeah, still battling. And Jan Woznica, actually, is he going to have a look up the inside into the penultimate corner? No, he's not. He thought about it, but he backed out of it at the last second. Now, Jan Woznica is right behind Pavlov. Chatsy Pantelis made that a little bit difficult for Pavlov. Yeah, but Jan now... Is he going to look into turn 1? Probably not the best idea, because there is a DRS zone after turn 2 here. And he is possibly close enough, but Pavlov has DRS himself from where the detection was before the ultimate corner. Well, that small half spin from Chatsy Pantelis has really opened up the opportunity for Jan Woznica now. And it has given a bit of breathing room to Callum Roberts as well, who now has a couple of seconds between him and his teammate. And Pavlov probably has a little bit of damage as well from the contact. We have a third DRS zone here down in turn 13, but unfortunately Woznica cannot make it happen on this occasion. As we come around, we have 15 laps to go. This 60% race. Drivers later on in Pro will be racing a 80% race, and then World Championship a 100% full 305km distance. Chatsy Pantelis is pitted for a set of the soft tyres. sure he will be trying to take them to the end. 15 laps to go. Could be doable on, especially on lighter fuel. He has come out a bit ahead of Matt Tewson. Yatello's still out there as well, so that'll be quite crucial for him because Chester Pantelis is going to be able to get probably quite a large undercut here. He will be going 2 steps softer tyres and then bring brand new and lighter fuel at this point in the race. Be all good for Chester Pantelis. Yatello may want to respond if he doesn't want to lose a position.
Adrian Cott is also fighting for the top 10 right now with Angel Vanegas. Dropped a bit further back in the last sector there, but generally sticking quite close with the driver in front of him. So we have a yellow flag in sector 2. What is that about? Not sure, but Jan Woznica is... No, never mind. Yellow flag now away, so probably just a driver going off track somewhere.
Yeah, so there are a few places on this track where you can go off. There's a couple of tricky corners. Someone obviously tripping the yellow flag indicator. The yellow flags and such are automatic by the simulation. Drivers obviously to be aware when there is a yellow flag. There generally is some sort of issue ahead. And so Yatello pits now. He is pitting now. What tyres does he take on? He takes on the soft tyres as well. So he's going to be potentially undercut by Chester Pantelis, although Chester Pantelis is actually quite far behind. So Yatello has managed to make this work. Actually quite a large. I do not know where George lost a lot of time, but he obviously did. As that has not worked out for him, fortunately.
Chester Pantelis going for the overtake. Oh, contact!
I think there may have been a little bit of lag involved there because Chester Pantelis' car bolted to the left very abruptly. And I will quickly try and look, see if I can confirm that.
Let's have a look if we can see the incident once again here. George didn't leave a lot of space on the left though. And then you could see the other car just moving to the left. It is... yeah, I'm not sure what to think of that.
Yeah, unfortunately the wall was very close to the track at that location. And wasn't very nice to them in this case. And that, yeah, that is not good for those two. They were looking to get some alright points, but unfortunately they have DNF'd and they will need to come back in a couple of weeks for round 2 to have another go to get some points. This bumps up a few drivers. Matt Tewson, he was quite far down, but he's now up into 11th place, for instance. And in P12 is Angel Vanegas, who is driving the return of F1 champs, who raced a few years ago, but left and have now rejoined the league. It is good to see.
Overtake here by Gerard Batala. This is not Gerard Batala, by the way. It's Tommy Carlo on his teammate.
Sirabatsky same car as Batella. Yeah, that was a little bit clumsy. There's some unnecessary contact, but that is helping Tom Lombart's behind, down in P9.
Jan Woznica still close to Vladislav Pavlov, who is then in turn also close to Callum Roberts. I think these last 10 laps of this race are gonna get tense for this podium positions, I should say.
So it seems Cas Reitveld has got this race pretty much under control, leading by 8 seconds now. And looking at the pace over the last couple of laps, ever so slightly quicker, the two Royal Blue cars. That is a pretty good start for SimRacing. And Vladislav Pavlov actually going around the outside of Callum Roberts now, and Jan Woznica is getting involved as well, trying to go around the outside. Oh, but he goes onto the marbles, not quite as much grip, but he has the line into the penultimate corner. And yeah, it's Jan Woznica onto the podium. And he will also have DRS to defend here, down the main straight. And he seems to have the top speed to be able to hold off Callum Roberts as well. So now Woznica is going to be looking ahead to Pavlov and trying to get P2 in this race. DRS again down into turn 3, but not on this occasion. The Callum Roberts was in P2 and is now down into P4 after being overtaken by his teammate. Something we haven't really spoken about today is Vlad Tokarev doing alright down in P number 5. Also behind him Thomas Vuk, another debutant as well, in P6. And Yatello is now coming up behind, having made his pit stop for those faster tyres. He'll probably be having a look at Vuk as we get towards the end of the race. Now, can Woznica get a good line? He will have the DRS here. He's going to be getting quite close. He's going to have to try and go around the outside into turn 13. Oh, but he goes slightly off onto the AstroTurf, and now Pavlov is coming down the inside. We're going to try and hold around the outside just like he did with Roberts 1 lap ago, and leaves just enough space for them for no contact. Unfortunately for Woznica, that has given a little bit of a bigger gap towards Pavlov now.
Yeah, great bit of racing there between the two drivers, side by side through turn 14. It isn't an easy task at all. It's a really fast right-hander, and great job for the drivers there for keeping it clean and not bumping off track. Now 9 laps to go in this race. Cas Reitveld still doing a good job in leading the race, almost 10 seconds over lead right now.
This Woznica is going to have to think about what he's doing here, because you don't want to get too stagnant sitting behind Pavlov, because you really need to have the momentum on a driver of catching them. If you get into this bubble sitting behind them, it will be a lot more difficult to overtake. However, he definitely has the speed to, because he dropped back and he's caught up a little bit as well. He will just need to use his racecraft to think when the best time is to try and push a little bit extra. As we said before, they have 2 fuel mixtures. There isn't much difference between them, but there is enough that you can use it to attack and defend. And this definitely looks like one of the best overtaking places down his turn 13, but he's not quite close enough on this occasion. He will have, once again, DRS coming onto the main straight, where we will have 7 laps to go. This opening race of the season.
Rodger in P8 is also getting close to the driver in front of him, Thomas Waag. Perhaps he can make up a position. And in front of them, there's an incident further back. I think, no, not correct. Just a like spike there for somebody. Callum Roberts is close to Jan Woznica. He's still sticking on there, to be honest. Perhaps he can do something at the latter stage of this race. Only 7 laps remaining, so if Jan Woznica wears his tires too much, trying to push to get past Vladislav, maybe Callum Roberts can take benefit of that. Here we go.
Jan Woznica got down the inside there of turn 3. Now Callum Roberts is going to be trying to get past. That was a nice move there by Jan, making DRS work and then being good on the brakes as well. So there's Jan up into P number 2. Not bad considering he was down into, I think, 8th place at one point, quite far behind these 2 Royal Blue cars. They've certainly had a very good start to their FSR career. Now it's down to Callum Roberts if he can get past.
So Yuri Szyzowski is also still close to Thomas Waag. Coming into turn 6, 7. Maybe he can do a move up to the inside of this driver in front of him. Thomas Waag having a little look down into turn 9 there. Still pretty close here. Only 1 driver lapped so far with 6 or 5 laps remaining in this race.
And Jan Woznica is having to defend a little bit here. Pavlov is certainly not letting this go, but not quite close enough on this occasion. And with 5 laps to go, Woznica, who pitted first, has already done 20 laps on these tyres. The other cars behind him are a couple of laps younger, so they will have a tiny bit more tyre performance. Oh yes, and there's... just I click on him, Szyzowski goes into the wall, loses his front wing while battling with Thomas Waag. Nah, yeah, that's unfortunate for him. A couple of laps to go. He should still get points because there's quite a big gap behind him. P11. He needs to be careful getting back to the pit with no front wing. That puts Tom Lombards up into 8th place. Still trying to chase down Thomas Vack, but not quite close enough yet. Now can Pavlov line up Jan Wozniacki? We need to be not too close coming to turn 1, so we can try and get a good line coming out round turn 2. Although, actually his teammate, Callum Roberts, is actually a bit closer. But nothing can be done on this lap. They are getting very close. Just need to line up your move. Tommy Utello is in P5. Making that a Royal Blue 3-4-5 right now. Unfortunately, he is 10 seconds off his teammates. And also, as I was saying earlier, with the Constructors' Championship, obviously Utello's points won't count towards the Constructors' Championship, as only the top 2 in each team count. Just an interesting, we'll see how that plays out with the Constructors as the season progresses. Now we've got 3 laps to go.
Roberts trying to have a look up the inside there. Decides not to go for it. Pavlov still sticking close to Wozniacki, but not really able to look for a move. I think down in P16 a battle is going on as well between Bjorn Furschner and Jakub Krzewskiewicz. Sorry if I mispronounced any name. And Gerard Batala as well behind that. And Thomas Vaak and Vlad Tokarev are also still close to each other. So these last 3 laps of this race are still going to be important for a lot of drivers.
You'll see when you get to the end of the race, you'll be thinking about your tyres, thinking about your fuel. And I'd say thinking about trying not to make a mistake, but that is just what Jan Wozniacki has done. Slightly missed the apex. And that's going to give Pavlov a very good chance if he can be careful coming into turn 1. Made the apex nicely. And he's going to be very close here down into turn 3. Can he make it work? No, not quite. Very good defending from Jan Wozniacki, albeit this track is not the easiest when it comes to overtaking due to the shorter straights, but it's certainly possible. And now Pavlov is very close at this part of the track.
Touched the grass there a little bit though, so lost a slight bit of time. This is gonna be a very, very tight last couple of laps.
And they're looking to go 3 wide there down into turn 13, but not quite. But Callum Roberts now ahead of Pavlov. As we come with 1 lap to go. This is now the last lap. Cas Rietveld leading by almost 11 seconds now, and Roberts is very close to Jan Wozniacki. He's definitely going to be at least thinking about it. He's going to be very close down into turn 1. Is he actually thinking about going around the outside of turn 1? That is not quite going to work, and yes, that gives his teammate Pavlov a very good chance coming down into turn number 3. Got a nice 3-way fight here on the final lap of the race. Callum Roberts having to defend means he can't quite go for Jan Wozniacki, unfortunately. Now Cass has a 12-second lead as these guys are battling. This is for the podium places in the first race of the Academy Championship for this season. Roscoe's managed to get a couple more car lengths through the last few corners, but it seems Roll Blue cars are slightly quicker in a straight line, which could lead him to be vulnerable down into turn 13, which is really the last opportunity that they have. Can't really look into turn 11, unfortunately, but you need to try and keep nice and close. Can Callum Roberts set it up? Gets a nice exit. He'll have DRS, who should be using all his fuel that he has right now. Can he make it work? No, not quite close enough. Seems Pavlov's a little bit out of this. But Cas Reitveld, as we speak, comes around the final corner to win the first race of the season. But who will take second place? It seems like it could be Jan Woznicka. And Pavlov always spins behind. Can Callum Roberts get into the line, actually? This is going to be pretty close, but I think Jan Woznicka is going to have that just about. Well done to him. And well done to Cas Reitveld, who we slightly missed winning the race there for ISIMRS. And that was a very good debut from the Royal Blue cars, as Yatello comes in P5 as well. Thomas Vac on his debut in P6. Good performance from him, he'll be happy with that. And then Vlad Tokarev, Tom Lombards, Adrian Kott. Some way back, 30 seconds behind is Matt Tewson in the Invictus Motorsports car, picking up points for P10. And we have Angel Beneas, who has actually just got off on his final lap. He will be getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points for P11. And Yuri Siravatsky, P12. Jackson went at P13. Has already finished because he's a lap down. And then we got Karsovic and Forshner also picking up points, but they have finished as well because they are a lap down. Angel just makes it to the line, possibly running out of fuel, and there we go for Yuri Siravatsky. So that is your order for the first race of the Academy Championship. Very good start to the season by Cas Reitveld. Definitely showing he's going to be the one to watch this season.
Yeah, great drive by Cas. And great pace. Showed that he had the qualifying pace and proved it as well in the race that he definitely is one of the top drivers, at least so far here in Australia for the Academy Championship. And I have to say, to take my hat off to Callum Roberts and Vladislav Pavlov, the two teammates of Royal Blue Racing, debuting here in the Academy Championship and getting a podium place. Great stuff for that team to make their debut in such a fashion.
Yeah, and we don't have to wait too long for the next race. In a couple of weeks, we'll be going to China and the Shanghai International Circuit. We haven't been there, I think, since 2015 in FSR, so it's been a little wait, but we are going back there. And that will be certainly an interesting track, because regarding FSR, these drivers probably won't have driven the track too much. So we'll have to see how they go and see if Cas can hold off his championship lead and his 25, see if he can get the 25 points again.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's time to close this broadcast off. Don't worry though, because in about 30 minutes time we will be back for the Pro Championship here, the second tier of Formula SimRacing. A lot of competitive drivers in there as well, so that will be a race to definitely watch. After that, at 90 or 18:30 GMT, we will be live for the World Championship race, of course the main event of the day. Make sure to tune in for that as well. For now, thank you for watching. See you in a little bit, hopefully for the Pro Championship. Cameron, thank you for joining me here in the commentary booth.
And no worries. And yeah, we will see you in a short while for the Pro Championship.
Yep.